back-to-back world champions, back-to-back Rugby Championship winners. They're all set. The Springboks have shown once again that the depth they have, the quality they have, and the mastermind they have in the coaching box is, unfortunately for me and most other rugby fans, the best in the world. What a match at Twickenham. I was lucky enough to be there. I'm sure you've all seen it by now as well. But the Springboks have won the Rugby Championship, and we're going to be breaking that down and the whole competition. My name's Shanair, and this is All Things Rugby's review of the Rugby Championship 2025. Now, technically, I know that wasn't their best match, but they still come away with a 29-27 win against Argentina, doing a double over a team that this year beat New Zealand, beat Australia, and beat the Lions. So no slouches, but the scoreline doesn't really tell the whole story of the match. Argentina came out all guns blaring, and they looked great going into halftime. An early yellow card for Moody, and could have been a second one as well. Argentina looked dominant in most areas of the pitch, moving the ball well, counter-attacking really well, and had most of the territory as well. But even though they went in winning at half-time, there was still an area on the pitch that everyone saw was going to be a massive advantage for the Boks going into the second half. I'm sure we all sound like a broken record by now, but that Boks scrum was something to be jealous of by the rest of the world. Not only were they forcing Argentina back on their own ball, but at one point, they even took Pieter-Steph du Toit out of the scrum, played him scrum half, and still managed to win that scrum. A couple of weeks ago, we criticised Malcolm Marx and his line-out throwing. This week, he put on an absolute clinic, showing why he's still not only the Boks #1 hooker, but still one of the best hookers in the world. Rather than talking about the rest of the game, I'm just going to talk about South Africa as a whole. Rassie has got, by far, the best headache any coach in World Rugby can have. When you wake up in the morning and you have to pick whether you're going to play Sasha at 10, Libbok at 10, or Pollard at 10, what else can you be worried about? Inside that, he had Grant Williams playing well, he brought Faf back in, and then he had Ryan at giving a man of the match performance. And outside of him, they drop Andreas de Hazen, they bring back Damien Dielenda. I mean, what else are you meant to do here? And up front, they have one of the best back row trios we've seen in a long time. Siya Kolisi, Pieter-Steph du Toit, and Jasper Wiese. As far as balance go, that's fantastic. We heard Sonny and Quaid talk about it the other day when they were comparing Pieter-Steph du Toit and Ardie Savea. Pieter-Steph du Toit is as good of a lock as we've seen, and we've seen him play there for the Boks. But he's built like one, yet in the back row is an absolute monster around the pitch. And Jasper Wiese carrying at 8 is actually second to none in the world. But outside of the free playing, you've got Quags on the bench, you've got Errol Glow in the background, you've got Evan Roos who wasn't even picked, you've got Cameron Hanekom injured. You just have so many back row options in this team, and you can replace one with another, and that team looks as good as ever. And in the front row, you have to choose between Malcolm Marx, Bongi Nganambi, Vincent Koch, Thomas du Toit, Wilco Lowe, Frans Mahoba hasn't even played. The list goes on and on and on. The best thing about this is Dan Bigger made a really good point the other day. When you look at the spread of the caps they've got all of these experienced players with 80 plus. You've got all of these newbies coming through. And in the middle, you have this bulk of players that have played between 20 and 40 caps that come the 27 World Cup will probably make up the bulk of that squad. And you've still got the experience of the Eben Etzebeths, the Siya Kolisis, the Andre Pollards to lean back on. This team will win the 27 World Cup, mark my words. What do we say about New Zealand? On one side, they've just done back-to-back wins against Australia, who only a few months ago not only beat the Lions, but also beat South Africa as well. They've done it 11 times in a row in the Bledisloe Cup. But are we that impressed with them? Certain moments of the game, we've seen New Zealand all competition look unbeatable, unplayable, and like they can attack against anyone and come out with 7 points. They move the ball from side to side, flank to flank. They have some of the world's best wingers. But something is missing from this team. We've seen some gems come through. Leroy Carter looks like he's made for the international stage. Quinn Tapai's come back from injury and has slotted into that midfield alongside Geordie, fantastic, and can be that battering ram that they've missed since Marnonu. Cam Roygaard looks good. You've got Bodie and D-Mac to choose at 10. But we're still really underwhelmed with this New Zealand team. Now, they've just come second, equal points with South Africa, equal bonus points, equal wins. And we're giving them a hard time. But their points difference was +8. And there was plenty of times in this competition that actually they were minutes away from losing. Them Australia games, especially that first one, they did not look convincing throughout the whole 80 minutes. The other side of this New Zealand team is where we just said on one hand, the Boks have got unlimited depth in every position. Once you start getting past that first 15, and we know in a World Cup you need a big squad of players to get to the top, New Zealand just don't look like they have the firepower when the second or third choice comes in. Now, don't get me wrong. They are clearly still one of the best teams in the world and are up to second in the rankings. But they're just missing a little bit of balance that we've seen before. Now, no doubt, if push comes to shove and we have to repeat a World Cup final and it's 15 against 15, New Zealand can be up there with anyone, be it South Africa or anyone else. But the legendary All Blacks, the 2011 All Blacks, the 2015 All Blacks, they don't look unbeatable at the moment. And if that's me and I'm playing for another team, be it in England or be it in Scotland, I actually fancy my chances this time round. The biggest test for them will be that game in Chicago against Ireland. Ireland will be up for it, no doubt. And the amount of Irish people that will be out there, it will feel like a home game. Right. The Golden Boys, Australia. What do we say about them? Everyone, including myself, left that Lions series thinking, fantastic. Australia are back. Australia are a team to be reckoned with. And actually, they kind of just fell to the wayside in this Rugby Championship. As an Australian fan, I wouldn't know where to stand looking at this team at the moment. On one side, we know we've got some talent there, and we know we had injuries. We ended up on our third or fourth choice halfback. Where we're talking about Faf de Klerk being the third choice scrum half for South Africa, and we know how much of an amazing player he is. Once we get past the best 15 for Australia, even like New Zealand, but to that next level, it's questionable where we think they stand in the world. Now, what Australia have introduced this year with the Super Rugby Australia is a very, very good breeding ground to bring on this next gen through. But the club size will still have to improve if Australia are going to be taken seriously come the 27 World Cup. Further to that, some of their standout stars will be leaving the club game this year and coming over to England and Ireland to play. Lenny Kittel is one of the standout players of the competition. Him and Tom Hooper are going to be heading over to England, whilst Angus Bell, who we saw how damaging he can be off the bench, is heading over to Ulster. There's already issues with their players playing abroad, not being available, be it James O'Connor travelling back and forward with his dog to Leicester, or Will Skelton going to France and not even playing. What are they planning to do come the All Nation Series? Last but not least, the Pumas. Now, this is the one that we're all really disappointed with. It was less than 4 months ago in Dublin. The opening game was a Lions series. Argentina put on a clinic how to beat the best of the home nations. But once we got into the Rugby Championship, albeit they had some injuries, it was pretty lackluster performances across the board. They had that one good win against New Zealand, but both games against Australia could have gone either way. And against South Africa, we saw what happened in the scrum. Do they have talented players? No doubt. But this is where the conversation comes up. With no professional league and their players spread globally, can Argentina build the momentum over the next couple of years to really be a challenger at the top table? Overall, this was by far one of the best rugby championships we've seen in a long time. With a couple of weeks ago, us even asking the question, where does this compare to the Six Nations? But the reality is, we've kind of hit a peak. Going into next year, the whole system's going to change, with New Zealand taking on South Africa in the world's greatest rivalry and an old school 3-test series. But where does that leave Australia? Where does that leave Argentina? Where does that leave the Rugby Championship? There's conversations about the Rugby Championship having to change dates, moving in line with the Six Nations, but the Six Nations might have to move a little bit further to make sure the Super Rugby still gets an opportunity. But then what happens to the players in Japan? What about the Argentinian players that are playing in Pro D2, Top 14, runs at the same time? Everything's up in the air. But that's enough of me bitching and moaning. Let's talk about the positives we saw. Now, as a very biased Harlequins fan, I love to see the Premiership grow. Knowing that Lenny Kittel's coming, knowing that Santi Carreras is going to Bath, gets me excited to watch the Premiership over the next couple of weeks. And with the game crying out for superstars, someone like Joseph Suaalii looks like he is ready to be carrying rugby union on for the next couple of years. Up front, seeing that many South African players absolutely crush everyone else means that the URC is only going to benefit with all these players coming back. Sasha and Vilimsa, both at the Stormers. I mean, who would want to play them now? It's never been such a good time as a rugby fan. We've just had, as I said, one of the best rugby championships we've seen in a long time. Now we're going to go into another round of the Prem and the URC with even more internationals coming back. And before you know it, we've got even more international rugby with some amazing games lined up. England will be taking on Australia. And what happened last time in Twickenham with a last-minute winner by Jorgo in the corner, England after the back of winning in Argentina twice, that's going to be a hell of a game. I've already mentioned already, but you're going to have number 2 in the world, New Zealand, travel to Chicago to take on number 3 in the world, Ireland. Now that is going to be one hell of a humdinger. Not only that, we could be seeing the 27 World Cup final played over in France as the Boks head over. And even though there's no Dupont, anyone who's been watching the top 14 so far will be telling you how good that French team looking. And of course, rugby being rugby, there'll be an international game played out of the window between South Africa and Wales. Now, South Africa have probably 4 world-class teams. I don't know what Wales are going to do, but that one's going to be entertaining to watch as well. I think it's pretty obvious how much I've enjoyed this year's Rugby Championship and bringing you my insights into the game. But just like it says on the mic, we are all things rugby. So from next week, we're going to be giving an insight into the other leagues going on as well. Be it the Prem, the URC, top 14, maybe even a sneaky champ game or two. So make sure you stick with us across all social channels to stay up to date with all things rugby. My name's Shanair, and thank you for watching.